Hello, my name is James Zimmer, and this is my community assessment on Goldsboro, North Carolina, the downtown area. I chose this area because of many reasons. I've actually lived here for almost about 12 years now, and of all the areas in Goldsboro, the downtown area seems to be the one of the areas that probably needs the most advocacy for. In this slide, I've included a map of Goldsboro. I've also included a Google Earth map of the area that I did my assessment on. If you can see it, it's mainly between Elm Street and Slocum Street and to the downtown area, which is one of the areas that's probably the largest hit by poverty. In this slide is a brief overview and demographics of downtown Goldsboro. The population overall for the Goldsboro area is 33,306. The current mayor is Chuck Allen, who was just elected last year. The demographics for Goldsboro is 40% male, 51% female. The median household income of downtown, this ain't outside of the Goldsboro area, just downtown, is $19,860. If you were to look at that for a family of four, the poverty index for 2016 is 24,300, so that's actually way under what the poverty index for the rest of the United States is, to exclude Hawaii and Alaska. Race within Goldsboro is 54%, almost 55% black. For white is 35%. Hispanic is 6.1%. I didn't list the rest of them because it's very, very low percentage for each, but you can look at the pie graph to the right on this slide and you can see the rest of the race statistics. In this next slide, we're going to talk about crime statistics. The total incidence of crime in Goldsboro, North Carolina is 6,954. Broken down per crime, there's 16 incidents of murder, 3 incidents of rape, 203 incidents of robbery, 677 incidents of assault, 899 incidents of violent crime, 1,266 incidents of burglary, 4,537 incidents of theft, and 252 incidents of vehicle theft, and a total of 6,055 incidents of property crime. I wanted to include this slide about crime. The overall crime rate in Goldsboro is 135% higher than it is in the national average. For every 100,000 people, there is a little over 19 daily crimes that occur in Goldsboro. Goldsboro is safer than 1% of the cities in the United States, which is crazy. In Goldsboro, you have a 1 in 5 or 15 chance of becoming a victim of any crime. The number of total year-over-year crimes in Goldsboro has decreased by 1%. Now, I want to point out something. The reason why I add this is most of this actually happens in downtown. That's not to say that there's pockets of communities that have crime outside the downtown area of Goldsboro, but they're pretty far and in between. And that's not to say that even in the rural communities, some of these statistics don't roll into this, but a majority of this crime actually happens in downtown Goldsboro. Moving on into the resources of Goldsboro, there's one major hospital in Goldsboro. It's actually outside the downtown area, but I figure it lists as Wayne Memorial Hospital. There's one social services center, the Wayne County Department of Social Services. I've actually been there. It's a pretty rundown building, and it seems like when you walk in there, it saps every bit of hope out of you when you walk in there. People I've talked to have not had very good experiences inside there. And one of the reasons why I did not pick, from my professional perspective, to do an interview out there, which we'll get to in further slides. Schools, there's 22 schools. That includes 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, 7 elementary schools, 3 K through 12 schools, and 8 private schools. There's 20 churches downtown. Now, mind you, all these are downtown Goldsboro. Outreach centers. There's 8 outreach centers. One of those outreach centers is a soup kitchen. Homeless shelters. The nearest one, this is a sad statistic, the nearest one is 22 miles away in Smithfield, North Carolina. Goldsboro does not have a dedicated homeless shelter inside the city limits. Oh, and point out one caveat to the churches. Some of those churches do act as outreach programs. Within downtown Goldsboro, there's only 2 licensed daycare centers. There are some daycare centers outside of the downtown area, which if you have transportation to, is not too terribly bad, but actual in downtown Goldsboro, there's only 2 licensed. And there's 1 library, which is well maintained and is a really good library. For resources continued, there's a transit system in downtown Goldsboro. It's serviced by the Goldsboro Transit Authority, which runs buses throughout the day in most of the major areas in downtown Goldsboro. Even outside downtown Goldsboro is actually a really good transit system. There is 9 banks in downtown Goldsboro, 5 of which are literally located in downtown. There's 1 major grocery store downtown, and there's 3 major chains less than 2 miles outside of the downtown area. It's literally really close, with a couple of Food Lions, IGAs, and a Walmart. It would be a long walk to get to these, but they are in walkable distance. There's 4 major gas stations situated downtown / convenience stores, and just like the grocery chains, there's a lot of gas stations located right outside of the downtown area. Add the miscellaneous, there are 4 dollar stores situated in downtown, and a lot of other miscellaneous stores, other stores located throughout the town. And the reason why I say miscellaneous is that they can be categorized in any of these other areas. They're unique little corner stores or antique stores and stuff like that. Perspective, I had the opportunity to interview a part-time co-worker that works with me in the National Guard, Terica Faison. I wish I could have done the actual audio of our interview. Unfortunately, that did not happen, and it actually that would have been probably took up the whole 10 minutes, because we had a very productive discussion on downtown Goldsboro, which she has actually lived her whole entire life. She is 35 years old, about to turn 36. She's 1 year younger than I am. She's female. She's a single mom. She has 3 kids, wonderful kids. I've met them all. Very awesome. They come to the Armory every once in a while, and actually she has put her kids to work at the Armory. Health, she does not work in Goldsboro. She actually works outside of Goldsboro. She works in Raleigh, North Carolina. She is what we call a military technician. She does pay and finance. Her education level, she has just graduated with her bachelor's degree. As far as economic class, I would say that she's probably in the same level that I am. She's probably lower middle class. Housing, she owns her own house in downtown Goldsboro. And as far as a membership in her press group, she, because of her race, she is black. Her personal major needs this is one thing that I really would love to got into the conversation with her over, was Goldsboro, downtown Goldsboro. And it came up in a conversation I had with another young gentleman when I was waiting to get my oil changed. He looked at the uniform I was in, and we talked. And this is what me and Terica talked about also, is the drive to leave Goldsboro. And our discussion led into all the positive role models that we could have in Goldsboro. Their main drive is to leave also, just like Terica. Even though she lives in Goldsboro, she works in Raleigh. She doesn't work in her own community. And another very good friend of mine who is from downtown Goldsboro, same thing. Him and his wife and his kids moved because his brother, who is now serving 10 years in prison for drug charges, he didn't want to be like that. And that's pretty much what Terica talked about how she is looking to move outside of Goldsboro and move her whole family, which to me is kind of sad. Because someone like her, a strong woman, strong single woman within her community, is looking to move out because there's that sense of hopelessness. When asking about the programs in Goldsboro, she cited the strongest program in Goldsboro is religion. African American communities are traditionally Christian, and that is one of the big strengths that she has cited, that her kids go to school or go to church every weekend, and that was one of the major benefits of all the churches in downtown Goldsboro. Her concerns that we talked about regarding the community was violent crime. There is a lot of crime in Goldsboro, and it's a lot of poverty. She did not perceive that her community is responsive to her needs and the needs of everyone out there. She said that's the main reason why all the good role models are leaving. And like I said, she cited a sense of hopelessness in downtown Goldsboro, like it's never going to get better. It's only gotten worse. She said that when she was a child, downtown Goldsboro was something different. It was a sign of prosperity, but with all the outsourcing of jobs from the textile mills to overseas, Goldsboro was one of those cities that was hit the hardest. And there really isn't any opportunity for people in Goldsboro other than to cycle through the correction system. I really enjoyed this. Like I said, me and Terica are really good friends. And like I said, I wish I could have recorded our whole conversation because it was a lot longer than this, but due to the time constraints of this presentation, it probably would have went well over. And I just want to say thank you to Terica for taking the time to sit down and talk to me about some of the issues that were very important to her and very personable. For my professional perspective, I was actually referred to Rachel Benson, who's a Strategic Initiatives Director, through my practicum site, which we have a partnership with the United Way where she works. The United Way of Goldsboro is situated in downtown Goldsboro, which I thought was awesome in order to get a perspective of how downtown Goldsboro is affected by the crime and poverty. Unfortunately, like the interview I did before, this would have went well over because Rachel is awesome. Like I said, I had an awesome opportunity to actually interview her. She took time out of her extremely busy day to sit down and talk with me. Basically, her and Terica's view of the downtown neighborhood is almost the same. Hers, she felt that if people didn't move outside the city of Goldsboro, literally like to another city or another area, they moved outside into the rural areas. She felt that it has a great impact on downtown Goldsboro. As far as the services available, me and her talked about that, about the lack of homeless shelters and the outreaches. She said that outreach centers were adequate, but could definitely do with some improvement. She feels that the outreach centers don't necessarily achieve the goals in what they were set out to do, and she does do a lot of coordination with those outreach centers in order to improve the life of people living in downtown Goldsboro. which went on to the gaps in services that we had discussed. Issues facing the community. She pointed out that crime is really rampant in downtown Goldsboro, and like I mentioned in the first slide, I've lived here for almost 12 years now, and I could see that as being one of the major issues, and the lack of opportunity. We discussed this at length because there's major corporations still around Goldsboro. We have a company by the name of Ukiyami America, is a Chinese brake company. We have Georgia Pacific has a huge paper plant here, and Mount Olive, which is right down the street, has the. And surprisingly, I lived here for almost 6 years before I realized that the Mount Olive pickles that sell in the grocery store are the same Mount Olive that's right down the street. So the pickle plant's done. But she says it's not enough. There's not enough resources as far as opportunities of work inside downtown Goldsboro, which I wholeheartedly agreed. If you go downtown Goldsboro, it's a skeleton of its former self. You could see where the textile warehouses were at. The past attempts of trying to improve, she said there's been many initiatives that have seemingly failed within the outreach and the housing authority that she talked about, and how the improvement of those communities around there in order to get affordable housing for the residents of downtown Goldsboro have turned into places of rampant crime. In some of these communities within these Section 8 housing are places where even police officers don't even go anymore. Like I said, there's a lot of problems in the community, and like I said, we talked at length about them. Like I said, the biggest thing that she pointed out was the opportunities, and that her and her office have continually tried to improve over the years. Like I said, I really appreciated talking with her, and it was a really good view. After doing this community assessment, some of the advocacy issues that need to be taken care of is creating opportunity for young people and old people alike. Per Kirsch Ashman, I hope I said that right, some of the advocacy tactics that need to be done is engaging political entities within Goldsboro. I think that's one of the biggest things is you see a lot of political delegates go out and convince businesses to come in, and that's what really needs to be done around here. There is a great community college here. There is business opportunity, but there could always be more, and that's what needs to happen. There needs to be hearings, town halls with political appointees on this, looking at the advocacy tactics that Kirsch Ashman proposed. That goes along with engaging community leaders about issues that the population faces in downtown Goldsboro. And something that kind of learned out of our social justice class about being forming alliances with groups and community leaders. So that's one of the big things that need to be done. Forming petitions, forming alliances, and the like in order to achieve these goals and to advocate for people who live downtown Goldsboro that are affected by crime and poverty. This project was extremely eye-opening. After actually living here for almost 11-12 years, there was a lot that I really did not know about this community. The 2 interviews that I did were extremely awesome. Kind of gave me a little bit more in-depth look into the problems of Goldsboro. Like I said, I extremely appreciate being able to talk to Rachel Benson and my friend taking time out of her busy schedule to talk to me, Terica Faison. Preparation for being a social worker in a community like Goldsboro shows me the upward battle that needs to be taken on when dealing with a community like this. And even my own personal biases that I've come across suggesting to young people here in this community to look past Goldsboro and kind of go out and find other opportunities, and not realizing that I'm part of the problem. In order to make this place better, we need to create better opportunities to keep people like Terica Faison in this community. So it's going to be a lot of work, and like I said, I appreciate the opportunity to actually do this assessment, because there's a lot more problems here in Goldsboro than I initially realized. I hope you all have enjoyed my community assessment and my presentation. This is the end, and if you have any questions, contact me over email if you're interested in the Goldsboro community.